just here to introduce the main act. Welcome to the climate keynote. My name is Taqralik Partridge. I'm the director of the Nordic Lab at WAG Gallery in Ottawa, and I am on the Inuit advisory for Heather's shirt grant. And it's my pleasure to be here to introduce Akka Niviâna Mørch Pedersen for the climate keynote. So first I'll do the introduction, and then a video will play, and then Akka will be on stage after that. So, welcome Akka. Akka Niviâna is an Inuk climate activist, poet, and writer from Upernavik, North Greenland. She is one of the artists behind the short film Rise From One Island to Another from 2018, which received the Climate Outreach's People's Choice Award the subsequent year in 2019. Akka Niviâna has worked with Naalakkersuisut, the government of Kalaallit Nunaat, Greenland, on coordinating a successful workshop on biodiversity for politicians, profiles within the cultural community, and business people. Akka Niviâna is currently based in Nuuk, where she, besides being engaged in climate issues, is also working within the creative industry as a director's assistant, scriptwriter, and film theater producer. So please welcome her. Maybe clap first, and then we'll play the video, and then you can clap again.
Sister of ice and snow, I'm coming to you from the land of my ancestors, from atolls, sunken volcanoes, undersea descent of sleeping giants.
Sister of ocean and sand, I welcome you to the land of my ancestors, to the land where they sacrificed their lives to make mine possible, to the land of survivors.
I'm coming to you from the land my ancestors chose, Greenland, Marshall Islands, a country more sea than land.
I welcome you to Kalaallit Nunaat, Greenland, the biggest island on earth.
With me I bring these shells that I picked from the shores of Bikini Atoll and Brunei Dome.
In my hand I hold these rocks, picked from the shores of Nuuk, the foundation of the land I call my own.
With these shells I bring with me a story of long ago. Two sisters frozen in time on the island of Winnipeg. One magically turned to stone, the other who chose that life to be rooted by her sister's side. To this day, the two sisters can be seen by the edge of the reef, a lesson in permanence.
With these rocks I bring a story told countless times, a story about Sisuma Amna, mother of the sea, who lives in a cave at the bottom of the ocean. This is a story about the guardian of the sea. She sees the greed in our hearts, the disrespect in our eyes. Every whale, every stream, every iceberg are her children. When we disrespect them, she gives us what we deserve, a lesson in respect. Do we deserve the melting ice, the hungry polar bears coming to our islands, or the colossal icebergs hitting these waters with rage? From one island to another,
I ask for solutions. From one island to another,
I ask for your problems.
let me show you the tide, coming for us faster than we'd like
of ocean and sand, I offer you these rocks, the foundation of my home. May the same unshakable foundation connect us, make us stronger than these colonizing monsters that still to this day devour our lives. The very same beasts that now decide who should live, who should die.
Sister of ice and snow, I offer you these shells and the story of the two sisters as testament, as declaration that despite what we are told, we will not leave. We will choose stone. We will choose to be rooted to this reef forever. From these islands,
We ask for solutions.
from these islands,
We ask, we demand that the world see beyond.
ACs, SUVs, their pre-packaged convenience, their royal slick dreams.
Beyond the belief that tomorrow will never happen, that this is merely an inconvenient truth.
Let me bring my home to yours.
Let's watch as Miami, New York, Shanghai, Amsterdam, London, Rio de Janeiro, and Osaka try to breathe underwater. You think you have decades before your home falls beneath tides?
We have years, we have months before you sacrifice us again, before you watch from your TV screen, computer screen, to see we will still be breathing while you do nothing.
My sister, I offer you these rocks as a reminder that our lives matter more than their power. That life in all form demands the same respect we all give to money.
That these issues will affect each and every one of us. None of us is immune.
And that each and every one of us has to decide if we will rise.
Hello. First, happy Indigenous Peoples' Day to all of you, to all of us, and happy Greenland's National Day, which is also today. I'm really honored to be here and to speak with you. I'm going to share a little part of my story and a little bit of poetry. So, first, I wanted to show Rise because, like, it's kind of the beginning of the journey that I'm gonna talk about. So, it was released in 2018, and yeah, it was. I was speaking at a climate march in Copenhagen in 2017, and I was asked to do this, and I told them, okay, I will be speaking once, and then I'm never gonna speak again. Like, that didn't really go that way. And yeah, but I think almost a year went by after I had that speech, and I was like carrying on with my life, and was like, that's it, that's what I wanted to share with the world. But then I got an email from this dude asking me if I want to go write poetry on the ice cap. And I was like, what? It was such... but then I was like, I mean, I've never been to the ice cap before, even though I'm from Greenland, I'm from North Greenland. And I lived there, so it was a good opportunity for me to see that part of our land as well. So, yeah, what happens? They come to Nuuk, this crew, Kathy, who is a Marshallese woman and climate activist. She was supposed to do this film by herself, but she told the producers and the team that she didn't want to be on other indigenous land without people from there to tell their own stories, right? So that's how, yeah, she demanded a poet from Greenland. And So this guy who wrote me was at the climate march, and he was like, you should definitely ask her. And it kind of escalated from there. They came to Greenland, we went to South Greenland, flying around and on the ice sheet, and it changed my life. I think, yeah, like first of all, I'm from North Greenland. I'd never seen a tree in Greenland before, and then you come to South Greenland and there's trees and chickens, and it was really weird for me. And the others were like, hey, Northern Lights, it's so beautiful. And I was like, yeah, but that's a chicken, you know? So it was like, that way already mind-blowing to me. But then we got on the ice sheet, and we had to go there by helicopter. And I'm so scared of helicopters. I really don't like flying. And it's all these, it was I think there were 3 Americans and some people from Scotland, glaciologists. We had this whole crew with us for safety and people who knew the ice and locals. So we were like a big group. But I was on the helicopter with the people who had never been to Greenland before. So they were like bumping in this small helicopter, wanted to take pictures, like, oh my God, look at this. And I was just in the middle like, oh my God, I'm so scared. For these, because it was in between the ice cap, like the glaciers, and yeah, no, I was so scared. Like that at the moment, because like, what are we gonna do about that? And this whole process of accepting that, okay, our landscapes is gonna change, and the climate, like, I think we've been talking about all of this for a long time and for many years, but I just think that seeing it like in that way just messed with my head. So I felt like I wanted to scream this to the world and show this, and luckily we have the poetry film, and it was, yeah, sorry, I just got but what we also wanted to show with this film was like the connections we have. Like the ice melting from our ice cap is like the one flooding the Marshall Islands and small islands around Polynesia. So this connection we had also speaks into this like collective responsibility when it comes to not just climate change, but in general, like this collective responsibility that we have as a global community, and also to take the responsibility away from the individual, but because I think we tend to do that a lot, and it leaves a lot of us in, yeah, this really, or at least for me, this sense of hopelessness, because like, oh, I have to eat these kind of things and I can't use water, like, oh, this, yeah, this sense of you having to save the world by yourself. But I mean, yeah, so that's also a story we wanted to tell, like this connection and how to share this burden. Also find like the beautiful things in community. Yeah, so what happened after this? And we, oh yeah, so that happened, and I had no idea how it would like escalate into. It has so many like views, and it got everywhere, and my plan of never speaking again really went really bad. Like, and all of a sudden, like BBC calls, NBC, and all of these people are like, "Oh, can you talk on these issues?" And I'm like, "I'm not an expert. I mean, in the sense that I was like, I don't know what I'm talking about." But I realized also throughout time that just sharing experiences, stories, like we've always done, like as Inuit, like this storytelling, teaching through that, and yeah, in general, using that as a way of connecting and as a way of understanding each other. Yeah, and then we got this, yeah, we got a lot of opportunities to share this film, and it led to other work, community-based work, and yeah, and I have another. The process of making it, like, it was pretty awkward actually, because me and Kathy didn't know each other, and we had to like write this really emotional poem about my land, and you know, it was really like, hey, Kathy. It was really awkward, and trying to do this, didn't know if we should hug, or it was just like, yeah, that that meeting. So we were like, okay, so we have to write this in a few days, and we started filming like 2 days after, so we really had to produce it in a really short time. So it became also this way of, let's put the poem as a conversation, like, yeah, so that's how the process went. And now, like, we're really close now, but it was, yeah, it was weird. We talk a lot about that a lot, how awkward our first meetings were. Yeah, and I feel like it feels like such a long time ago, like, and the whole journey I think we all had the past years, this sense of isolation, but at the same time, like, being connected. Yeah, I don't want to go too much into that, but like, it's just seeing how back then this journey, like, I had so many strong ways of communicating my opinions, and I felt so sure about all the things that I was thinking. And now, I mean, I know my opinions, but there's just so many things that I keep questioning, like, I don't even know what to feel about a lot of things and what to do about that. And I didn't really plan to share this, but I think for me it's also important to share that moment when you doubt yourself, when you doubt, I don't know, being in this vulnerable place of not really knowing where to go from now and how to, yeah, keep communicating that. And I've been, yeah, thinking this for a while now, I think. And then I realized, okay, so it's also about asking yourself and also not having to carry that burden of thinking that I have to save the world all the time. Like, I think it might come from that. Yeah. And I wrote another poem that I want to share with you. And this was actually written for an anthology in 2019 called Actualize Utopia, where we had to, yeah, we had a few pages and we could write whatever we wanted. And at first I was like, you can't ask that question, like, how to actualize utopia and how to imagine or like describe my imagination of utopia in like a few pages. But then I thought, okay, I have to start with my own world. I have to start with this doubt and with this allowing myself also to breathe and just to be, and also sometimes just not knowing not knowing what to do. Yeah, I want to share the poem with you. And it's called Switch. The sunbeams from my open window wakes me up early in the morning, telling me it's a new day to make my life better, a new day to shine bright like the sun greeting us from the sky. And then a few moments trying to remember who I am, where I am. And it's funny how the answer tends to differ. You see, one day I'm a warrior, ready to conquer the control of myself, of my life. And the next day I feel like life is the one conquering me. And some days my heart is hopeful, ready to fill my surroundings with energy, with light. And some days I need the surroundings to fill me with the very same things. But then I ask myself, what if some days there's nothing to fill me up, when I know the possibility is never to give up? Could I invent a switch that turns on the fire like electricity turns on a light bulb? And then I remember that I am that switch, unapologetically flipping on, off, light on, rarely off, remembering that sometimes we have to be switched off in order to be on. And the pressure from the world tends to make us forget that we are allowed to be soft, in need of help. We have a right to not be a fireball of resilience all the time. And we tend to forget that our very existence is pure resistance and we will not die. And don't let them forget that you come from a line of survivors. Remember the ancestral force that lives in you, that is bound in your DNA. The force that they tried to erase, to hold down. But you are the evidence of the victory of your ancestors. And yes, we carry the responsibility for the future of our children, our sisters' children, brothers' children, and also our parents' children. We owe it to us to secure the future. But what if I told you it's not your burden to carry by yourself? And I love you for trying every day, every night. Know your rights, but more importantly, believe in your rights. To exist, to succeed, to fail, to question, to not know better, to learn, and to try again. Thank you. I don't feel like talking. I feel like opening up like a conversation or anything. So whatever you want to talk about or ask or comment.
You were talking about an island in the Polynesian Islands. Could you talk more about that and like the similarities between your struggles, I guess? Like climate change, how it's affecting both of you?
Right. Yeah. So I didn't really know anything about this area of the world because it was so far away, but also I really didn't know any people from there. But then I met Kathy, and she told me like the rising waters, like the tide is like rising so fast, so like the islands disappear, and I think. Yeah, it was really mind-blowing to me because I talked about this connection before. And what was the other part of the question?
Like what similarities?
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, I think it's interesting when we meet indigenous people from around the world, there's a lot of these similarities. And I noticed like we have these myths and some of these same figures that we use. Like we have Sasuma Amnag, is it Sedna? And these things, they don't have Sisuma, but they have like a similar story to teach them also, like, don't pollute the waters, don't. So this oral storytelling and this way of teaching through that, and that's also why we chose to have a myth each in our in the film, and yeah, just in general, like it was really interesting. Also, like we both come from islands. But they have really small islands, and we have like, yeah, the biggest island in the world. Yeah. I can't really see anything, so you just...
Yeah, hi. I'm just wondering, ever since this collaboration, how has your work changed? Has it changed compared to what it was before and now?
Yeah, definitely. I don't like speaking in public. I mean, it was really bad back then. I have so much like stage fright, and I don't, in general, standing in front of a lot of people makes me really nervous. But I just think that I realized with this new given platform, because it got so much attention, especially. Like, yeah, it was really a weird experience that all of a sudden this is like my way of living, like go out, speak, or and through art, it opened like a whole new way of expressing into, yeah, through art. Now I like do acting and performance, like. I would never, never ever have done that if it wasn't forced this way. I mean, it was a lot of new possibilities that just came, and I'm really grateful for that. But I mean, it wouldn't have been anything I would have chosen if I was just minding my business as I planned to.
Hi there, I don't know if you can see me here. First I want to just thank you. It's so thrilling for me to hear that you were going to be here. I've been assigning the video for my classes to watch for the last number of years. And what's amazing to me is every time I watch it myself before the class, I never can finish the video without tears in my eyes at the end. And I think tears of frustration, because I live in a country that's still building gas and oil pipelines across indigenous lands, and planning to drill in the deep ocean starting in 2028. It's so frustrating to be in Canada. And when I see it and at the end you say, now is our time to rise, I'm just so frustrated that all Canadians aren't rising against this and just saying we won't have this. But my question to you is, I've understood that Greenland has banned oil drilling, that Greenland has decided to not pursue its offshore oil reserves, and I wonder how you feel about climate activism in Greenland, or the state of how Greenland itself is tackling the climate crisis, and what Greenland needs to do.
Yeah. It's always really interesting discussing climate in Greenland, and it's really like a really visible also political debate, because we have on one hand this strong wish for independence, and you look at different ways to, finance that. And I think the debates are around a lot. Will it be like for any price it would be independent, or do we want to do it in a way, and it will take maybe a longer time. Like it's always a debate going on, and I think with the new government that was elected last year, they're really more conscious around climate. Like there was this this mine for uranium in South Greenland that they stopped that project as well, and another mining company there's shutting down these projects. And but it's an interesting ongoing debate, like, because we also really want independence, but how, and recently, before this new government, they signed these contracts to build airports, 3 huge airports in Greenland, international airports, because now you fly to, like from the cities to this American airbase that we have in Greenland, or left abandoned airbase, that is now like our airport. So like the infrastructure, like it takes a long time and all the routes to go there. So I think it's a wish to open up, but it's also been discussed like this, a climate issue. Are we really gonna blow up a mountain and make big airports come here? Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of these debates going on. It's really interesting.
I was just hoping you could speak a little bit about what's happened after the film, like what the impact has been. You were talking a little bit about how many people have seen it, but like where has it traveled, and what's the response been?
It's been basically around the world, and like the subtitles are translated in a lot of languages. I think. Yeah, I mean, it just got a lot of attention, and you have all of these. In the beginning, I got really weird messages from people that there's this conspiracy theory apparently that Greenland doesn't exist, and there was this whole theory like, I know you're not a real person, you're a puppet made to like, and I was like, what? But apparently it was a thing that people don't like. I clicked it on YouTube, and there's these. YouTubers be like, yeah, this is proof that Greenland doesn't exist. Like, you know, it's really, yeah. Why did I start talking about that? Oh yeah, a lot of people wrote me the weirdest things, and through that, yeah. And then not long after, Trump wanted to buy Greenland as well, and. I was asked if I wanted to write something for NBC to comment on that, and I was like, yeah, let's do it, and I wrote it, and even more weirder like messages came into it, but yeah, there's this broad common agreement that I don't exist. It's really weird.
It was styrofoam that you were walking on. A very big set.
But yeah, it's been traveled. We've traveled a lot. A lot of people have seen it, and we've been talking about if we should do something like that again. But it's really, yeah, infrastructure and stuff is really expensive.
I had a student one of my grad students last year who just graduated, wrote her thesis on this poem and on another climate poem, and I was hoping you could talk a little bit about the power of poetry and that, like, do you see that maybe it's had a bigger impact because it was poetic? Like, we've seen a lot of the news, like, what is the difference when the arts are involved?
Yeah, we actually talked about that because I was like, why a poem? Like, to me, I don't know, at first I thought it was weird because I thought that you could spend a lot of money on something else, but so I asked, like, why? And it was this guy named Bill McKibben. He was one of the people behind it, funding it. I asked him, and he was like, I've been trying to write books about climate, and I've been trying to speak on these issues, but it seems like no one is really listening. So maybe there's a different approach that you should do. And I think what poetry can do, at least for me, it's a free form of communication, and I feel there's a lot of words that you don't have to explain in the same way, and it leaves space for emotions, because I think climate change in general brings out a lot of emotions, especially in people living in these areas, right? And in general, I think when you deal with climate, it's really, or to me at least, it can seem so hopeless. Like, what are we gonna do? Like, and it's hard to communicate those emotions in a report. It's hard to communicate those emotions in, so I think, for me at least, it leaves space for, it allows you to feel this anger, this sadness, this also hope, and I mean, I think that's the short answer.
Journals and scrapbooks about things to get youth, like using creativity to work through these things. Have a lot of young people reached out to you? Like, have you received letters or responses from Indigenous youth?
Yeah. At first, I mean, it took some years for it to come to Greenland. It sounds weird, but it was not until a few years ago, like 2 years ago, that I showed it in Greenland. Like, it's just been there, and I didn't really mention it to anyone, and I think that they just saw it. They're like, "Why haven't you said anything about it?" Like, I kind of did, but I really didn't that much, maybe. But yeah, and I think the gift I feel that I have, I can communicate through poetry and not always have the answers to everything, but I see myself as being good at asking questions. And yeah, I think. Did you ask for more?
No, I think that's really wonderful. I hope that everyone will join us in thanking Anka for her wonderful presentation this evening.